Hello, I'm Nick Newman. This is my official YouTube channel. Please subscribe and support us.
The Young and the Restless spoilers full Tuesday full April 1 for 2026. Welcome back to our channel, fellow Y&R addicts. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the drama of Genoa City. Grab your coffee, or maybe something stronger, because we have a lot to unpack from this latest episode, and we are so glad you're here to share the journey with us. Let's get right into it. I am literally shaking right now as I type this. I can't even process half of what I just watched on my screen, but I need to get these thoughts out of my system before I explode. I've been watching this show since 2015, and I have seen some wild, unhinged, absolutely chaotic storylines, but this current era, it is testing my blood pressure. I am half celebrating some of these dramatic beats, and half complaining because some of these characters are driving me up the absolute wall. Can we talk about this episode? Because I feel like I am taking crazy pills watching the way Victor Newman is allowed to just bulldoze through everyone's lives without a single ounce of consequence. Let's start right at the top with that infuriating scene at the Genoa City Athletic Club between Kyle Abbott and Victor Newman. I mean, my jaw was on the floor. Kyle actually grew a spine. He marched right up to Victor and confronted him about the absolute destruction he is raining down on Jack's life. Kyle looked Victor dead in the eye and called him out for focusing all his energy on ruining his father instead of going after his actual enemies. And what does Victor do? Does he show a shred of remorse? Does he even blink? No, he sits there with that smug, arrogant look on his face and tells Kyle that Jack has an insatiable greed for depravity. I'm sorry, but what? Victor Newman, the man who literally locked his own children in cellars, the man who hired a Peruvian drug lord to impersonate Jack and sleep with Phyllis, is lecturing someone else about depravity. I was screaming at my television. The absolute audacity of this man knows no bounds. He orchestrated a completely fake scenario with Patty Williams, a woman who is severely mentally unwell, just to blow up Jack and Diane's marriage so he could get Chancellor back. And he calls Jack depraved, because let's be real, Victor's obsession with Jack has crossed the line from corporate rivalry into pure, unadulterated psychological warfare. I know some people are loving this ruthless Victor era, but personally, I am so sick and tired of him never having to pay the piper. And then, just when Kyle storms off in a righteous fury, who walks in? Nikki. Oh, Nikki. I love Melody Thomas Scott. I really do. But Nikki's Stockholm Syndrome when it comes to Victor is exhausting. She walks up to her husband and actually has the nerve to ask him if he thinks he went too far. Gee, Nikki, do you think he framed your friend, destroyed a marriage, and is actively plotting hostile takeovers while your son is missing? But Victor's response to her was just ice cold. He looked at his own wife and essentially told her that he was just trying to get Chancellor back, and instead of thanking him, she stabbed him in the back. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's really break down that dialogue because it is so telling of who Victor is right now. Nikki reminds him that Jack is her friend. She literally says, I don't understand how, after all the damage you've caused, you still feel the need to attack. Why yes, Nikki, finally. But Victor just sneers at her. He tells her she is so blinded by her choice of Jack Abbott that she can't see things objectively. You made your choice, live with it. He told his wife to live with it. I cannot handle the toxicity. He is punishing Nikki for having a platonic friendship with Jack. He is punishing her because he cannot stand the fact that he doesn't own 100% of her thoughts and loyalties. Am I the only one who sees how emotionally abusive this is? Victor is isolating her, mocking her, and tearing down the people she cares about just to prove he is the ultimate alpha. It is gross, and I am dreading the inevitable moment where Nikki just folds and apologizes to him like she always does. Remember when they tried this storyline a few years ago? Yeah, didn't work then either. She always goes back, and it drives me insane. Okay, back to the point. Let's talk about the collateral damage of Victor's God complex, Diane and Jack. Over at Society, we had this incredibly heartbreaking scene between Diane and Michael Baldwin. I have so many mixed feelings about this. Diane has officially left the Abbott mansion. She packed her bags and walked out. And honestly, can you blame her? She tells Michael the whole ugly story about walking in and finding Jack in bed with Patty Williams, Just the visual of that is enough to make anyone sick. Michael, being the eternal skeptic when it comes to anyone but Victor, says it's impossible. But Diane knows the truth. She knows Victor orchestrated this entire nightmare. She knows Victor used Patty to destroy her marriage just to get Chancellor back. And then Diane asks the question we have all been screaming at our screens for years. When are you going to cut ties with the man who has hurt so many people you say you care about? Yes, Diane. Drag him. Michael Baldwin used to be this fierce, independent shark of a lawyer, and now he is just Victor's lapdog. He makes excuses for a man who literally acts like a mob boss. Michael reaches out, holds Diane's hand, and tries to play the peacemaker. He tells her he knows how much she loves Jack. He hits her with that classic soap opera line, where there is great love, there is always a way back. But Diane's response broke my heart. She says the image of Jack and Patty in bed is burned into her mind forever. She is too hurt and too angry to forgive him. And you know what? I get it. I really do. Even if Jack was set up, the trauma of seeing that, the humiliation of it all, it's too much. I know a lot of fans hate Diane, but you have to feel for her here. She worked so hard to rebuild her life, to earn Kyle's trust, to be a good wife to Jack, and Victor just snapped his fingers and blew it all to hell because he wanted a company. It's despicable. I want Jack and Diane to find their way back to each other. I really do. But they need to team up and absolutely nuke Victor Newman from orbit. Let's shift gears and talk about the mess happening over at Crimson Lights. We get this brief moment with Tessa and Daniel. Tessa admits she is second-guessing going to Barcelona, and Daniel is surprisingly understanding, saying his dad Danny gets it too and figured she would start rethinking things. It was a nice, quiet moment, but it was just the calm before the absolute storm. Because then Tessa leaves, and in walks Phyllis. Oh, Phyllis, my chaotic, beautiful, deeply damaged red. Phyllis offers Daniel a whole division of her newly stolen company, Summer's conglomerate, to run. She is basically handing him the keys to the kingdom. She wants to build an empire for her family. And Daniel, he shoots her down so fast it gave me whiplash. He tells her he wants absolutely nothing to do with her or her stolen business. I have so many thoughts about this. On one hand, yes, stealing Newman Enterprises using an AI program you stole from Kane Ashby is highly illegal and morally bankrupt. But on the other hand, can we talk about the hypocrisy of Daniel and Summer? I am so fired up about this. Daniel and Summer are acting like Phyllis is the devil incarnate for stealing a company from Victor Newman. Do they have amnesia? Do they not remember when Victor Newman brought Marco Onicelli to town? Victor allowed a ruthless cartel leader to steal Jack's life and repeatedly violate Phyllis. Victor Newman committed one of the most heinous, unforgivable crimes against their mother, and neither Daniel nor Summer batted an eye. They still took Newman money. They still worked for Newman. They still smiled at Victor at family dinners. But the second Phyllis uses a computer program to steal Victor's company, oh, suddenly they are the moral police. Suddenly they have to disown their mother. I am screaming. It is the most infuriating double standard on daytime television right now. And you can see the realization hitting Phyllis when Lauren shows up. Phyllis looks at her best friend and finally says the quiet part out loud. She tells Lauren that she realizes she won't get her kids back unless she gives Newman back. It is a devastating moment of clarity for Phyllis. She thought she was building a legacy for her children, but she actually alienated them completely. I kinda want Phyllis to just keep the company and tell her kids to kick rocks, but I know she loves them too much. She's going to crack. She's going to give it all up for Daniel and Summer, and they don't even deserve her sacrifice right now. I said what I said. But guys, we have to talk about the main event. We have to talk about what is happening in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Because while Victor is whining about Chancellor and sipping scotch in his penthouse, completely oblivious to everything, his sons are literally fighting for their lives in the darkest, grittiest storyline we've had in years. Adam Newman is putting the entire Genoa City Police Department to shame right now. He is in full-blown spider mode, and I am absolutely here for it. Adam tracks down Riza and confronts her at her door. He demands to know where her boyfriend Ronnie is. Riza tries to play dumb, saying Ronnie is inside, but when she opens the door, the place is empty. Adam is not playing games. He gets right in her face and asks, "What are you doing? Where is he? Where is my brother?" And then Adam drops the bomb. He asks if the name Matt Clark means anything to her. Reza says no. So Adam pivots and asks about Mitch Bacall. And boom, you can see the blood drain from Riz's face. She admits that was the nickname her lover used. Adam doesn't hold back. He unloads on her, telling her everything about how Matt Clark has tortured his family, how Matt is a psychopath who is currently holding Nick hostage, and Riza, she slaps him. She slaps Adam and yells, "You lied to me all this time." I mean, the nerve of this woman. She is harboring a fugitive who is actively torturing Nick Newman, and she is mad that Adam wasn't totally upfront with her. Adam is desperate. He is terrified for his brother. Remember when Nick saved Adam's life? Adam remembers. Adam is proving right now that despite all their toxic history, despite all the times they have hated each other, when the chips are down, the Newman brothers protect each other. Adam is the only one out there looking for Nick. Not Victor, not Victoria. Adam. It is such a powerful dynamic. And Mark Grossman is acting his absolute heart out in these scenes. Which brings me to the most terrifying, anxiety-inducing scene of the entire week. The storage room. Matt Clark and Nick Newman. I was holding my breath the entire time. Matt walks into this dark, dingy storage room, and there is Nick, tied to a chair, completely helpless. Matt grabs the bag and rips it off Nick's head, and just greets him like they're old buddies at a bar. It was chilling. Matt tells Nick that he almost missed him, that he almost didn't catch him, until he found out that Nick's brother Adam was the infamous Spider. How did he find out? Because Nick was buying drugs from the bad guys who report directly to Matt. Let's just pause and appreciate the twisted irony of this. Matt looks at Nick, this legacy kid, this billionaire heir, and mocks him. He says, "Your description matched perfectly. A clean-cut country boy with movie star looks. It makes my skin crawl." Matt is so deeply obsessed with destroying Nick. He has hated Nick for decades. And Nick, bless his heart, is sitting there, trembling, sweating, going through severe withdrawals. And he just looks up at Matt and asks the one question we are all dreading. "Are you going to kill me?" And Matt's response is so much worse than a bullet. Matt smiles this sick, twisted smile and says that killing him is an interesting option, but he knows Nick is craving a fix, and he is more than happy to help. "I'm going to feed your addiction until you fall so low you don't even know your own name." I cannot breathe. This is psychological torture of the highest order. Matt isn't just going to kill Nick. He wants to destroy Nick's soul. He wants to strip away all the Newman pride, all the dignity, and turn him into a hollow shell. And then Matt twists the knife even deeper. He brings up their history. He reminds Nick of the time Nick tried to frame him for dealing drugs all those years ago. Matt looks at him with pure hatred and calls him a hypocrite. "Look at you now, you filthy junkie." The delivery of that line, I felt it in my bones. Nick Newman, the golden boy of Genoa City, reduced to a shivering, drug-addicted hostage at the mercy of his oldest, most psychotic enemy. It is brilliant television, but it is so hard to watch. I am so invested in this. Joshua Morrow is giving the performance of his career right now. You can see the sheer terror in Nick's eyes, the realization that he is completely trapped, and the physical agony of the fentanyl coursing through his veins. And the contrast is just mind-blowing. While Nick is literally being tortured and pumped full of drugs by a madman in a dirty warehouse, Victor Newman is sitting in a luxury restaurant complaining to Kyle Abbott about how Jack is depraved. Victor is completely blind to the fact that his son is dying. Victoria is running around town defending Victor's honor, completely oblivious to the fact that her brother might not make it out of Los Angeles alive. The only person who knows, the only person who cares, is Adam. I am predicting right now that this is going to fundamentally change the Newman family forever. When Nick finally gets rescued, and he better get rescued, Adam, I am counting on you. Victor is going to have to face the fact that his petty corporate wars blinded him to his own son's fight for survival. And Nick is going to have a long, brutal road to recovery. This isn't just a physical kidnapping. Matt has rewired Nick's brain with these drugs. We are looking at a massive addiction storyline for Nick, and I am both terrified and totally here for the drama. I know some people are complaining that the show is getting too dark, but personally, I think this is exactly what Y&R needed. The stakes are finally real again. We aren't just arguing over who gets to sit in the CEO chair at Chancellor. We are dealing with life and death, trauma, and deep-rooted history. The callback to Nick framing Nat for drugs. Chef's kiss. The writers actually remembered their own continuity, and they are using it to fuel the most intense revenge plot we've seen in a decade. I'm going to be a nervous wreck waiting for the next episode. Will Adam get to the warehouse in time? Will Matt push Nick over the edge? Will Phyllis actually give up Newman to get Daniel and Summer back? Will Diane ever look at Jack the same way again? I need answers, and I need them yesterday. Please tell me I am not the only one spiraling over this episode. Jump into the comments and let me know your thoughts. Are you Team Phyllis or Team Daniel? Do you think Victor will ever face consequences? And how hard were you crying during that Nick and Matt scene? Let's vent together, because I definitely cannot handle this alone.